Hello and welcome back to the Canary Chat channel. Today we have another transfer update video. Wasn't expecting to make one so soon after the one yesterday, but there's been some further developments around incomings and especially outgoings as well within Norwich. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So regarding outgoings, there's now officially a price for Josh Sargent's services, and that price is £16 million. So it's been confirmed today that that's the amount that we're willing to accept for Sargent. Obviously, that'll kind of prick the ears up of a few clubs. Burnley are heavily interested in him. Obviously, we've had Leeds interested as well, Wolfsburg. Some Italian sides, some MLS sides, but yeah, it does look like 16 million will be the amount that will secure his services to move away from Carrow Road. A slightly tricky one because I think he probably performs at a 20 to 30 million pound striker, especially of how well he's been doing in the Championship. But the important thing is to remember is around his injury. So his injury record is not the best, obviously. Last couple of seasons we've had sustained periods of time where we haven't had Josh Sargent in the starting 11, and that definitely factors into a price tag. And whether or not we like it, that is just something that we'll have to accept. And yeah, it's one that we want sorted as soon as possible. I think throwback to the start of last season, we had Rowe leave, or say down tools basically, first game of the season, and then a couple of weeks before that we had the whole Sarah fiasco, him going to Galatasaray and getting that big move. That one was obviously a lot easier to prepare for because that wasn't a last minute jobby, but the fact that it happened and that we lost our arguably two most influential players at the start of that season, we tried to adapt, but throughout the whole season, I think we struggled from there on out. We didn't have that kind of flair, that attacking prowess in places, and what I think maybe caused that was that it was so close to the start of the season. We lose those two players, and then we have to try and find replacements there and then, and we're potentially forced into deals or forced into panic buys, where it seems to be this year we've learnt from that. We're doing a lot of our business earlier on, and whether that's ingoings and outgoings, and then that will hopefully allow us time to settle in. Obviously, Manning's now taking pre-season. We need that to land well for another change. And yeah, I think unfortunately Sargent will leave, but it will be in that 16 million. And if we're getting a similar-ish amount for Sainz, then 30 million for the both is what I've really had in mind for the whole kind of transfer window. So that will certainly go a long way with this squad to help to improve it overall. In regards to that other person in question, which is Borja Sainz, Porto are now ramping up their interest in him. The last 24 hours, it has escalated quite a lot. It looks like a £13 million bid will be what gets him with add-ons, so probably around that £15 to £16 million mark. So as I said, if you combine that with Sarge, about £30 million for the both. Obviously, Bilbao was strongly interested in him, but with that extension to Nico Williams' contract, then that won't be happening. Porto have put in, well, the only team to have put in a formal bid as of yet, so they've obviously always been interested, got a new manager, still interested in Sainz going, and yeah, 13 million, I don't think it's terrible. Obviously, he's got 1 year left on his contract, so it's certainly something that's played a part in his value, but you've got to remember, his performances that have got him that value came between August and November, so we've really managed to get a decent price tag for a player from 4 months worth of performances. So I'm actually relatively happy with that, taking into account current performance and current contract situation. 13 million I think is relatively decent, but they're the two biggest outgoings. There's no other rumours at the moment, but what it does mean is that we've potentially got 30 million coming into the club, but however we are losing our two kind of starlight players, and it will be tricky to adapt, but certain people will have to step up and fill those shoes. And yeah, so let's have a look at who those players could potentially be. Just quickly, about 85% of you aren't subscribed to the channel. If you're enjoying these transfer update videos and you enjoy Norwich City content, we've set a very audacious 2,000 subscriber target by the start of the season. So if you want to be a part of that and help, make sure to click the subscribe button. Now into incomings. So obviously yesterday we brought you a lot around Mathias Kvistgaarden, and we've said that we'll do a more in-depth video around kind of the player that he is and his background and stuff like that once he's officially signed, as long as it will go through with no hitches. But the rumour now is obviously that his medical is potentially today, and it will be tied up and announced potentially Sunday or Monday. They did actually have a friendly today around 12 o'clock, and Kvistgaarden was not included within that. So to me, that's kind of cemented the fact that he could be coming over for his medical. If any of you are into Skyscanner and into the rumours around jets and stuff like that, a private jet did come from Amsterdam to Norwich today, and there was also a jet seen with the Danish flag on. So read into that what you will. I know some people look into that a bit more than others, but it does seem that the medical will be happening this weekend, and hopefully an announcement very soon. And we are talking about players that could kind of really step up. Potential Norwich City record signing. If anyone's going to step up, hopefully it will be him. Obviously, we've had this in the past with Wolfswinkel being record signing and not going kind of exactly how we thought. But it does seem to be that we've got a bit of a focus with changing the squad. Scandinavian players seem to potentially be a focus as well. So they'll hopefully feel at home when they come here. We've got obviously Svortau, Slimani played a lot in for Bromby as well. So yeah, there's a potential that he feels a bit more at ease when he comes over. But the fact we've got him over the likes of Lens, who agreed with Bromby, there was Frankfurt, Southampton, Leipzig, Bologna, they're all interested in him. And luckily for us, we had Ben Napper. So Ben Napper seems to have got that deal over the line. Great bit of business. And once that is announced, we will certainly do a more in-depth video on him. And then the last rumour that we have is Pelle Matson. So a defensive midfielder from Silkeborg. We've supposedly put a £2 million offer in, which has been swiftly rejected, but it is showing that we are very much interested in the player. What I would say is he's been very instrumental around them getting kind of European football in previous years, and I don't know, there was a certain few of us, and when we had Thorup that were looking at Scandinavian players in the January transfer window, Kvistgaarden and Mattsson were two names that were kind of brought to the attention of a lot of people that did that. So the fact that we're going in for him isn't a huge surprise, but it could be a very good bit of business. What I would say is Hancock Analysis did a huge piece on X and around kind of him potentially going to Portsmouth, but around his player profile. So what we'll do is we'll kind of dissect that more if we do get him permanently, but obviously a lot of the stuff's still relatable to Norwich because it was around the player that he is. What I would say, it does look like he likes to play between the lines and kind of press those passes through. He's not that quarterback role that'll be spraying balls left, right and centre. He'll progress the ball up the pitch with either carrying it or those quick sharp passes between the lines. He seems to be a kind of aggressive ball winner where he enjoys a duel, he enjoys getting his body in the way and in between players to get to the ball, which is another really good sign. I think we need a bit more of a destructive defensive midfielder who can then carry the ball up. And interestingly as well, it seems like he does enjoy sitting between the centre-backs to receive the ball. And a player that seems to do that a lot is Kenny McLean. So is this a potential Kenny McLean replacement? Potentially. We'll have to wait and see. There's no rumours kind of around Nunes or McLean leaving at this point in time, but the fact we're getting another midfielder in on top of already getting right in maybe hints that we could be looking to move some players on. Obviously Marcondes has been rumoured away to Brazil. We've obviously lost Sorensen because we didn't renew his contract or anything like that. But it does look like midfielder is definitely a market we're looking into, which is no surprise. with what the Pinkham was saying, but the fact we seem to be really acting earlier on in this transfer window is really positive for me. I've got to say, I think the earlier we get the business, we want to avoid what happened last year. It seems Ben Napper's kind of recognised that and is kind of called into action the scouts nice and early on. And at the end of the day, we're potentially spending a fair amount of money, and we don't want to be in a situation where we've potentially got money to spend. If, for example, Sargent Sainz go, teams that know you've got the money to spend and can amp those prices up. So that's the last position we want to be in. We don't want to be getting into bidding wars. We don't want to be getting into situations where teams know we've got money. We need the deals over the line done early on to provide that kind of reassurance that we've got the players that we want, we've got the players at the price we want. And then if any gaps pop up or any surprises happen later on down the line of players maybe wanting to leave or long-term injuries, we've still got time to replace that, as well as not worrying about having to backfill other places already. So I think it's a very positive start. I mean, I'm definitely guilty of getting carried away and saying that we'll win the league, but I think that's all part of the fun. I think if you can't do that as a football fan, then I'm not sure what the point is of being a football fan. It's all about enjoying it whilst you can. And I think we're in a really good place at the moment. Some superb signings, new manager, potentially a new record signing. What isn't there to be excited about? But leave a comment down below. Do you think Mattsson would be a good signing? Had you heard of him before? He's still excited for the new season. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. And we will see you in the next video.